I like to party on the east side. I like to party on the west side. I like to party downtown, all around. And I get down when I party uptown.
Welcome to the Bronx Aerosol Arts Documentary Project. Today is Monday, July 14th, 2024. I'm Pastor Crespo Jr., the research librarian and archivist for the Bronx County Historical Society. Today, we are joined by Wicked Gary, a pioneering Brooklyn writer, an original founding member of the Experienced Vandals, or ex-Vandals, from 1971. Yes, sir. Welcome, Wicked Gary.
Thank you, man.
Awesome to have you here, and thank you for coming all the way out from Brooklyn to make this trek. You know, we got a borough in between us.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and awesome. Hey, we like to start out all of our interviews by finding out your family history and background. Okay. Could you tell us where your parents come from and a little bit about each of them?
All right. My dad's from the Caribbean. His people are Trinidadian descent. Basically, his side of the family was traced from Africa to Trinidad to the United States. And if you'd like to hear a musical version of my family history, you can check out The Path by Ralph McDonald.
The Path by Ralph McDonald.
Yes, percussionist. It is a 17-minute long piece. The story is told by my grandmother, Alberta Fritz. So what Ralph did when he recorded it, he recorded the first part as an African greeting. The second part, which takes us to the Caribbean, he did a calypso. Into the United States, he took it to disco and put them all together and made it a 17-minute suite. And it's basically my family history in music, trace in music.
Wow. And how about your father?
Oh, well, that's my father's side of the family.
Okay.
My mom's side of the family is basically from the Carolinas, down south.
All right.
And they met. He was a drummer, she was a dancer / model, and they decided to make more than just music together.
Awesome. Now, where did they first, when they met here in New York City, what borough did they first decide to settle and raise their family?
They probably met in Manhattan, but I spent the first 5 years of my life in Manhattan and then moved to Brooklyn and been in Brooklyn ever since.
All right, great. Do you have when were you born and do you have any siblings?
I was born in 56. I have siblings, but 2 adopted brothers, 1 sister.
Awesome. I have 2 adopted children myself.
Okay.
You know, family's family. So, wow. So 5-6 years old, you moved from Manhattan, you're in Brooklyn, now by 1961 time frame?
Probably around there.
What neighborhood in Brooklyn did you guys grow up in?
Bed-Stuy, basically.
All right. Could you describe Bed-Stuy, your earliest memories, which would be almost the entire decade of the 60s, right?
We were on Green and Franklin for a while. And at some point, my mom and my dad decided to get a house. And we bought a house in Flatbush. East 23rd Street in Clarendon.
Wow.
Where I stayed for a really long time till possibly after high school.
Okay. How old were you when you first moved in there?
I don't remember.
All right.
I don't remember.
What are your earliest memories of Flashbook? What was the community like? What was it made up? Was it mostly African Americans?
No, it was basically mostly white. Once we came in, the exodus started.
Got it.
We were like maybe 2nd or 3rd on the block, and they saw it as a sign like, up, time to go. And slowly but surely, it switched over.
Wow. So, you know, your first name is Gary.
Correct.
You know, what did a young Gary looking out to his neighborhood. How would you describe your neighborhood? You're going out, you're young. How would you tell your cousins in the Carolinas, this is Brooklyn, Flatbush?
Okay, well, we had basically 2 family houses on the block, maybe 2 apartment buildings on the corner. It was family oriented, and we had a safe block, safe neighborhood, pretty much. The kids would play with each other out in the street, play games. Everybody would be in everybody's house, and parents would feed the kids on the block or whoever it was that you look through the door and who's that coming in? Oh, that's so and so and so and so, and like everybody was welcome in everybody's house, and everybody pretty much on the block looked after us like they were parental guiders.
Right.
Like they weren't our parents, but they were our extended family. So it was cool. It's nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now you talking about feeding the community and kids showing up. What was a favorite meal at home for you?
I'm a fried chicken lover, so smiles usually came when my grandmother was making fried chicken.
Got it.
Or homemade biscuits, or used to like when she used to make homemade dumplings because she didn't make it all the time. So that was kind of a treat.
Nice. Homemade dumplings. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
And what kind of music were your parents listening to at home with a young Gary there being influenced?
Well, my dad was a percussionist. My family history is a musical history because we have musicians. My father was the last of 16. All his brothers played. My uncle was Macbeth the Great, who was considered the Calypso King of New York at one point in time. And I would go with my father to his gigs with his band, and I would listen to them play every weekend, pretty much for all the events and dances and boat rides and all that stuff. And then my mom's was a model / dancer, and she was dancing African dance.
Okay.
And between the two of them, I got exposed to a lot of cultural activities and flavors on a regular basis. And I just kind of absorbed as much of it as I could, even though I was running around trying to play.
Right.
But one of the things that I got blessed by was I was curious in terms of like all the music that was going on around me. So pretty much almost any time any of the musicians would put their instrument down, I would ask, "Can I try it?" And they would let me see if I could make a sound. And then 9 times out of 10, I did pretty decent. So that sparked the love, but it didn't really lock in until I got away, till I went away to college at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania in, was that 70 something, where I determined if it wasn't about music, I wasn't interested in doing it. So
Got it.
I locked in college on the music and been on that path ever since.
Awesome. Awesome. So growing up, outside of your home, right? What kind of music, this is the 60s, right? Mid 60s to late 60s. You're still a young man. What kind of music can you tell us was being played? I remember like around 1980 walking out of my buildings in the projects and the Latin hustle. You had to like skip around these guys. What was the music going on your sidewalks?
We were pretty much listening to regular AM FM radio, which was a lot more diverse than now.
Mm-hmm.
So all the stuff that was pop, or all the stuff that was R&B and funk and jazz and whatever, that's what we heard on the streets. In my house was a different story because I had my dad as a musician listening to stuff that he was listening to, and then it was something totally different when I would go with him with the gigs because his band played all genres of music.
Okay.
To the point where they would be co-headliners on a gig with Tito Puente or Eddie Palmieri, And the Latin cats used to hate to see my dad's band coming because they not only played the stuff that they played, they also could play the Latin stuff.
Right.
So whenever they saw our band come through, they were like, "Oh, these guys, man, we got to step our game up today because they're gonna play our stuff later on and possibly better than us." You know. So
both music were Afro rhythms anyway.
Yeah, you know, and but you know, it was a great time for music. I really got inspired because these guys never rehearsed. They would get to the bandstand, the band leader would call out a tune, and they would swing like there was nothing else in the world until they stopped.
How old were you when you were hanging out with your dad?
Man, before I was a teenager, up until into my teens.
Gotcha. And where did your dad take you to the jam sessions and the practice sessions?
All the gigs were like Renaissance Ballroom, Palladium, Park Plaza, just almost all the places where live music was happening. We were in all of those venues. Savoy,
and forgive me, did I catch your dad's name? Can you give us your dad's full name?
No, I didn't. Urias M. Fritz. Everybody called him Uncle Bugs.
Got it. And did his band have a name?
Well, he played with a couple of different groups, but the most popular one that I always used to hang out with was the Frank Anderson Orchestra.
Okay. Awesome. And
side note, when I was talking about my uncle Macbeth the Great, who was the Calypso King in New York, Mac had basically 3 bands, and he had so much work that he would send one band to one location, one band to another location, another band to another location, and then go spend about an hour with each of them over the course of the night because there was that much work for his band, and they were killing it.
You know, I just interviewed someone not long ago who comes from Trinidad. His father comes from Trinidad, Tobago, via Trinidad to the U.S. and he was into calypso music. I don't know if you know DJ Shake.
I'm not familiar with the name.
Yeah, so he was talking about his mother and his father were both calypso musicians. So wow, small world. Huge. And if people don't know it, outside of Florida, we have the largest West Indian diaspora in the world here in New York City.
I believe it. I used to tell people used to ask me, I used to tell a really corny joke. And like, where you from? And I used to say, the Caribbean island of Flatbush.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Exactly. I was like, yeah, you weren't born on the island. I was born on the island, Manhattan. When they tell me I wasn't born in Puerto Rico, I was born on the island.
Yeah, I hear you.
we all get that as second generation out the Caribbean, brother.
It's okay.
Exactly. It's okay. We know who we are.
Yeah.
So talk to us about your earliest memories in Flatbush, whether they're fond memories or say you got beat up one day.
No, everything was great. I mean, like I said, the kids used to all play together. This was when kids still went outside to play, and we were making up games and, stoop ball and playing out in the street, playing stickball and skellies, and girls would jump in rope and playing tag or run catch and kiss once we started getting into the girls.
Right.
Buck, which was Johnny on the Pony, some areas.
Right.
We just we stayed outside, and the old school rule, when the street light comes in, time to come in. Street light comes on, time to come in. And pretty much everybody was the same way. It was like, oh man, the light just came on. We got about 10 more minutes. Right.
Exactly.
So, but it was a great environment. We all stayed healthy because we were busy running and ripping and creative and doing stuff. Not like the kids today who you take their phone away, they don't know what the hell to do
all day.
So yeah, and they don't do any exercise because they don't know what the play is. You know, if it's not working their fingers,
Exactly.
they're lost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was your elementary school? Which one did you go to?
I went to PS11 initially when I was living in Bed-Stuy, where I got my first formal music training.
All right.
It put me in the music class at 4th grade. I kind of excelled at that because we got the music book and everybody's playing recorders. You know, you start out.
Right.
I went through the book in the first week while everybody else was on page 4.
Wow.
So my music teacher was like, I gotta figure out something to do with you. Tell you what, go in the instrument room and find something and, you know, see if that catches your interest. And then every day I'd come out with something different. And he was like, okay, I see you need an instrument because, like, you're bored sitting here waiting for everybody else and you already finished the book and we're on page 5.
Right.
So I was interested in the trumpet back then. He found a trumpet for me for $60, which my mother brought. And
Wow.
I started taking,
back then, that was a lot of money.
Yeah, it was. But I was really into it, so it was worth it. And he got me up to speed, and I started out kind of playing trumpet and pursued that for a while until things switched over.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, you're young, and the way you're talking about Flatbush, I don't know if this next answer, is fitting, but were gangs in your neighborhood visible?
Not necessarily in my neighborhood. You know, there were gangs around the city,
Right.
but they weren't really, where I was located.
Got it.
The closest thing we had to a gang was when somebody messed with somebody on the block. All of us would show up like, yo, you messed with the wrong block, bro.
Right. Yeah. The neighborhood crews would begin to pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Now, do you remember, because this is the 60s now, the first time you saw writing? Where was that and what was your impression?
I mean, every neighborhood kind of had their local stuff, with people kind of, I guess, sort of marking their territory, or, like the Johnny and Jane or whatever it was like that. But it wasn't anything like, folks weren't trying to establish identities.
No tags.
It wasn't really tagging yet. It was just kind of like, maybe somebody had a marker and there was a wall and nobody was doing nothing. And hey, let me write my girlfriend's name. I might score some points, if she sees it. And she, it wasn't anything heavy at the time.
Right.
Okay.
Which is the first tag you recall ever seeing?
That's a really good question. And I do not have a good answer.
All right, yeah. Just gang tagging and, John loves Mary.
I saw more of that than I did, writers tagging.
Got it.
But once I got out of junior high school, everybody's like maybe writing their name on their dungarees or on their desk and stuff like that. It got to be a lot more hardcore.
Got it.
Because now folks are trying to get fancy. Folks are like, okay, I drew on my dungarees with my pen, but somebody let me borrow his marker that day, and it became a little bigger.
Right.
And while nobody was looking, put a little tag on the desk, like, yeah,
right.
And then it started blowing up, wall there, staircase there, nobody's looking. Oh, and I got my boy's marker. Oh, okay. wonder how long that's gonna stay. And yeah, by the time I got to high school, it started getting fully blown.
Got it. But how about for you? When did you start writing as I'm a writer now?
Okay, probably coming out of junior high school, going into high school.
All right. What'd you first write?
It was a process trying to figure out what I wanted my identity to be. Back during that time, everybody was either super this or cool that, or trying to be something fantabulous.
Right.
And I started out as Super Soul.
Super Soul? Nice.
Yeah. And then one particular day, one of my next door neighbors said something to me that stuck. I lived next door to a family of 11 that had a bunch of girls in it. And our back porches were close enough that I could jump from my porch to their porch and, go into their house. And a lot of times I would try to catch the girls in states of dress and undress. And one particular day I was lucky and sort of one of them in a state of undress. And she was like, "Oh, you wicked boy." And I was like, "Oh, I am, ain't I?" I like that, yeah. And it kind of stuck. And then I dropped Super Soul and switched it up to Wicked Gary. But then Wicked Gary was too long to write without trying to get caught.
Right.
So I shortened it to WG. And then at a certain point, once the wall started getting inundated, I tried to figure out a way to be able to see where my tag was, and I started to put a box around it, just so if I saw the box, I knew my name was on that wall without having to actually see it.
Got it.
And because nobody else was doing that. And it's probably one of the first two initial names to be out there in Brooklyn and doing a lot with it.
Nice. Awesome. Now, what were you using when you first started writing? Oh, we're talking when you were writing, we're just talking markers, right?
Yeah.
And if you couldn't find one, talk to us about the whole marker game.
Well, initially, everybody was starting with pens. Like I said, we were writing on our desk or, writing on our jeans and our jackets and stuff. Writing in our notebooks, doing designs. And as we started hanging out and we started noticing more people doing that, somehow we got introduced to markers. And markers were, pretty much pocket size. They didn't have a lot of big size tips or different variations in tips. It pretty much came like one size.
Right.
And everybody pretty much brought the same markers because we didn't know that there was a choice at the time. Mm-hmm. So the initial markers were the dry marks, the glass bottle ones, which was actually the first generation.
Okay.
Dry marks. And that's what most of the cats used all the time. They were small enough to fit in your pocket. They were great for writing on any type of surface. And back then, before they changed the formulas of the inks and stuff to combat that stuff, when they said permanent, it was permanent. Them bad boys were hard to get off. So
really?
That was one of our favorite tools because you put it somewhere, it would last.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, see, you didn't have money. How'd you get markers?
We invented, which
Okay.
invented is one of our code words for stealing sometimes.
Got it. Racking.
Yeah, racking as well. But we used to like to say invented.
All right.
Yeah. Racking was when it really got hardcore because it would be like, okay, we're going racking today, which means like if we see a rack of markers, we're like trying to get the whole rack, not just a marker or two.
Right.
It's like, yeah, we're going to do this now, so we had to do this for a while. Get every color, every variation, whatever it is, we get it all, we're done, we're loaded up. Don't have to do it for a while. So initially, getting a marker or two they weren't that expensive. So some of us brought, some of us stole. But again, the markets were kind of cheap, you know, and back then merchants weren't afraid to sell to us because it was like, hey, it's just a kid. What's he gonna do?
Right, right. Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Now, did you ever make your own markers?
Sometimes we did. Once we started finding out that there was, folks started taking, well, the whole game started to evolve. Cats started trying to do things on a grander level, larger, different color schemes, different types of utensils to actually use to write with. So cats thought about, hey, like the shoe polish bottles. I think the nurses used to have a white
the white griffin
polish
for their white shoes.
Yeah, for their white shoes. And somebody was like, yo, man, we could take that shoe polish out and maybe put the ink in there, and that's got a wider surface. And we can get that to work. And they, so guys started experimenting, and everybody had their own kind of favorites. So, whatever they were hooking up.
Got it.
But I didn't do that often. I was just like, yeah, I don't like the inconvenience of that because a lot of that stuff was messy.
Right.
You fill it up, it link in your pocket, and get all in your clothes, and it'd be like, yeah. So just give me a regular marker, cap off, cap on, done. Bye.
I hear you. I hear you. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Now, where were the first places you would hit? As a kid when you first started. I mean, you mentioned for me, it was always the staircases, whether they were in my building or school.
Yeah, school, the neighborhood. School, if you were in the hallways, like while class was on, basically the hallways were empty. You take a chance.
Right.
Everybody would come back out during time to go to the next class, and somebody would go, yo, man, did I see your name up on the third floor? When'd you do that? Shh. Yeah, okay.
Got it. What middle school did you go to?
Walt Whitman.
Walt Whitman?
Walt Whitman.
Walt Whitman,
was
sorry.
at 248, I believe, at the time.
Got it. And what was that at exactly?
What's that? Tilden and between Rogers and Nostrand, something like that.
All right. Cool. Did you have any? And I know you had art classes in elementary school. Were there any art classes or music classes in middle school for you?
Well, because of what my teacher did, Mr. Manzella, who was my teacher in the fourth grade that got me the trumpet. I was musically involved with music, and when I got to junior high school, I made it to all city band and all city orchestra. But I was playing trumpet and French horn because I was pretty much first chair in trumpet. They didn't really have nobody playing French horns, but I could also play French horn because I had the training into trumpet. So I was doing that as well. But it was slowing down a little bit because I was also into playing. I was into sports.
Okay.
So I didn't want to give up the majority of all my time just to do music because I wanted free time to be able to play. And so at a certain point, I kind of rebelled a little bit from having to do the all city and all orchestra, the band and orchestra. But I still kept my musical interests, close by. I didn't totally give it up.
Got it. Now, when you were writing, was there a certain style of letters using your markers, that you were popular? Was What was your mark? Other than marking the box, you're tagging a box.
Yeah.
What was your signature style?
It was just the way I put my name, my signature together, because there was no such thing as style at the time. Everybody was trying to develop what ended up being style.
Got it.
Okay. One of the things that happened with style was people in certain areas would see what the other guys in the area were doing, and if they liked something that they saw from somebody else, they would kind of borrow that and incorporate it into their thing.
Right.
And then style sort of evolved kind of like that, because you had one neighborhood kind of doing this thing, different neighborhood doing another thing. And so you could also almost tell where cats were from just from their handwritings or the styles that they were using. Brooklyn had a totally different style than Bronx. Bronx had a totally different style in Manhattan. And then when Top Cat moved from Philly to Manhattan, he brought Philly style with him, and that entire neighborhood took on the Philly style, which later became Broadway elegant.
Got it.
So we had stuff like that going on. But Brooklyn was into swirls and loops and arrows and, you know, trying to make stuff fancy within their name and putting eyes and caricatures. Bronx cats were, you know, they used to put their street numbers, you know, to give you an idea of where they were.
Right.
And like I said, every neighborhood was different. So style ended up being exposed to that because of the neighborhoods being different, and the stuff that the guys were exposed to were all different and evolving different at the same time.
Got it. Here in the Bronx, a lot of writers would gather at an unofficial spot they would call the writer's bench.
149th Street, Grand Concourse.
Yes, sir. Was there a spot in Brooklyn that you guys had that you would gather?
We didn't have one initially, but after starting to travel and meet the other writers and finding out that they had benches and places to gather, like Writers Corner 188th, Coco and those cats uptown. Okay, so one particular day after going to the layups out on the 4 line with Kingston layups, Pistol, myself, a couple other guys, we went to the tunnels to go paint. And we got to the tunnel and there were about 40 writers in the tunnel already when we got there. Most of them from uptown and the Bronx. And we were like, what are you guys doing in Brooklyn? Y'all got the yards and tunnels in your own areas. Yeah, but they're hot. Yeah, they're hot because you guys go 40 at a time. You know, you guys are going to make Brooklyn hot. Like, okay. It ended up, we got chased that day. So as we were leaving, everybody was like, yo, let's meet back at Atlantic Avenue and we can watch the trains as they come out. And it's a transfer point for all the trains, basically. So Pistol and I kind of made Atlantic Avenue the Brooklyn spot. And after that, that was the place where if you were coming to Brooklyn, you wanted to try to meet the writers, you sit at the back bench at Atlantic Avenue, watch the trains coming out, and it was a transfer force, so everybody could get to it easily.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, you're a founding member of the original Experienced Vandals, ex-Vandals. Were you part of any other writing groups, crews before the ex-Vandals?
No.
From the beginning to the end?
Pretty much.
Awesome. Did you roll with any other crews, collaborate? We're going to hook up and meet here and there?
Well, we had other crews that were friends of ours. You know, Chairman's J, Vanguards. We knew other writers that were members of other groups.
Got it.
Okay, but those other groups were basically like gangs as well.
Mm-hmm.
We were the only strictly writing crew, and that was from day one. when we were sitting down and trying to think about what we were about, we were like, well, look, let's make a distinction. We are not a gang. We are not about fighting. We're about writing. And that was laid down from moment one before we even had like a name.
That's like before your bylaws.
Yeah.
Got it.
So if you want to fight, go join a gang. This ain't it.
Got it. Wow. So what were the, now obviously there was a point where you're tagging and you progressed to doing, throw ups, and can you talk to us about what was next from writing?
Part of that evolution was the discovery of the different size markers and the different elements that we could use to tag. So, in finding that they were larger size markers and mini wides and uni wides and pilots and different size tips, even different thickness.
Mm-hmm.
When cats also discovered where the layups were, where they hide the trains or park the trains while they're not running them during rush hour, cats were like, we can sneak down there. And later for the markers, we need something that's going to be bigger so it could be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And paint started coming to play more. And then again, in the evolution of things getting bigger, it just started, okay, let's try a different cap to see if we can get a larger size line than the regular size that we're getting now.
Mm-hmm.
And cats would like experiment with all different types of caps from any sort of product that had a cap on it that was like an aerosol. And we found some that worked, so it went from being this size to being that size,
right,
to being that size, and then we found like fat caps. We're like, all of a sudden now it's coming out like this thick. And we were just experimenting, figuring stuff out as we went. And the stuff that we found that works kind of stayed with us. And then we started sharing the secrets, like, try to so-and-so can. Yeah.
There you go. So what were the different types of spray can brands that you used, and what was your favorite?
Back then, it was Red Devil was pretty much the go-to. But my favorite was whatever paint I had in my possession. I didn't give it,
Yep.
I didn't care what brand it was. It was just like, but I got lucky because I had a hardware store that had these little mini cans about this size that would fit in your pocket. And my pockets were big enough to hold a bunch of them. And then I had this old army coat that had the deep pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I put my hand through the lining and I didn't realize, but I created a compartment that I could actually put the paint in and line the corners of the coat.
Mm-hmm.
So I could put large cans and small cans in there. And that's what I would use when I would go racking or inventing.
Right.
So it'd be like, oh, thank you. You know what? You don't have what I need. Thank you. I'll come back later and see if we have it later. Get home, 10 cans of paint.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, were there any popular layups that you guys frequented? Like, this is our layup.
We used to like to think so until that day when we came down and saw the 40 cats already in the tunnel from uptown. It's like,
that was your favorite.
Yeah, it was like, really, dude? Come on, man. Like, y'all made uptown hot. Like, don't make Brooklyn hot too.
Yep.
So, but like I said, we got chased that day, and it was on pretty much after that.
Got it. Yeah. Are you known for any? Now we're doing throw ups and pieces. I'm assuming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you end up developing a certain style? Now that you're piecing.
My thing was when I got to the tunnels and was doing the layups and stuff like that, I didn't want to take a chance on trying to be there too long to do much. So I was trying to do quantity rather than,
Right.
than these big massive designs. I was like, I'm putting my name on as many cars as I can, because when they separate and change the cars, you're gonna have one car going on this line, one car going on that line, and they're gonna be on different trains.
So you're bombing real quick.
Yeah, inside and out.
Got it.
Yeah.
Nice. So did you do any motion tagging?
Maybe motion tagging.
You know, while it's moving, you're tagging inside of the
all day long.
all day long.
Yeah,
it's hard because the cars are full.
Well, I mean,
but you have those moments when the lights turn out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the buses were motion tagging all day.
Got it.
Bus would pull up in the stop. You look up and look back, and all of a sudden, like, where did that come from? I wasn't there, a minute ago. The bus pulls off, and but we kind of did a little bit of everything, and then once we had the ex-vandals form, I sent out teams pretty much to kind of just bomb entire areas.
All right, good. Yeah. Let's go there. Talk to us about when did the idea and who were the original members that formed the ex-vandals. Let's get the inception story.
Okay, well, Dino Nod, who let me back this up. The ex-vandals were born in Erasmus Hall High School. All of the original core members went to Erasmus. Dino Nod was an upperclassman. We kind of call him a super senior. But it was his initial idea where, the bunch of us that were writers that were hanging out with each other, Nard said to us one day, like, can you imagine how much more popular we would be in our areas if we had all been writing the same thing? And everybody was like, from different neighborhoods and stuff. And we were like, ooh, yeah, that would be amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we tossed that around for a little bit. And then one Friday after school, we went to his house and had our first meeting. And that's where we kind of came up with the concept, the name, the core members. So it was Dino Nod, Big Time Glass Top, Conrad Is Bad, King of Cools, Wicked Wesley, myself, and Flynn.
Got it.
There were a couple of other people at the meeting who decided not to become members because they were too big to be part of a group where they had to give up their identity. Because one of the things that we did when we formed the group, we gave up being individuals and became the group.
Got it.
So part of that was the moment we left, it was, we are now the group. We are not writing our individual names at the moment until we decide to go back to writing our original names. Mm-hmm. So the priority was, for the first month or so, you didn't write your name at all. We just put the group name up. Then you had to write the group name before you wrote your name. That was like a law. We didn't care if we saw your name. It was about getting the group up. Mm-hmm. And then once we got kind of pretty much got to the point where it got to be infectious, and you had to remember that Friday afternoon the ex-vandals didn't exist. Everybody went home from school, went home from work, did what they were doing, and when they came back out Monday to go back to school or back to work, all they saw everywhere was ex-vandals, and everybody was like, what the fuck is an ex-vandal? And we just kept the pressure on for a while before we started revealing who we were.
Kept it on the low.
Yeah. And then, like, the way we revealed ourselves at the school was even deeper, because one by war, we wore colors into school. So on Monday, like, Dino Nard wore his jacket in. And everybody's like, ex-vandals, oh my God. right? Then Tuesday was somebody else's day. Wednesday was somebody else's day. Thursday was somebody else's day. By Friday, all 7 of us had it revealed who we were. And it was just like, oh my God, you guys are the X-Files? And it took off. It blew up. The other thing that helped to make it like really crazy was we kept it elite. We didn't just let anybody become a member.
Got it.
You had to be invited, which is still a requirement today. You cannot just be an X-Vandal because you want to. You had to be invited into the crew. And that is something that's going to be for the rest of time, which I think is one of the things that made it elite, because they knew we were only looking for like the best writers, cats who were about what they were doing. And you didn't get the invite. Sorry.
What year was that first year you guys formed it?
71, 72.
Nice. Awesome. And did you guys have an X-Vandals black book, or did you guys have individual black books?
It wasn't black books back then.
All right. No black books yet.
Not really. I don't know if you've ever seen my tag collection. That's at part of the collection of the Museum of the City of New York.
Is it there now?
It's part of their permanent collection with Martin Wong.
All right. You got it?
It has been on the road traveling, because it's sort of considered the Holy Grail. But basically, at the time that I started to travel around and meet the other writers and go up to like the writer's corner and the writer's bench and stuff, we didn't have anything like black books. But fortunately, since I was a fan and I was starting to meet the other writers, I had these cardboard cards that I would carry with me. And when I would meet a writer, I would say, yo, man, sign my card for me. And because of that, my collection became very valuable, because it time dates the period before things blew up. So when you look at the tag collection, pretty much everything that's there is from the original first generation dry mark, before we discovered the larger size markers and before it really got crazy.
Wicked Gary, awesome. We're at the part where you're speaking about your tag collection on these large cards. Please introduce your tag collection and the whole reason why you began it.
Okay, again, here's a picture of the tag collection.
Gotcha.
Excuse me. Get out the way. That's all stuff that's got to be updated.
Yep.
But here's a picture of the tag collection.
Nice. You got a big board that you put all the cards on.
Actually, Martin Wong did that.
Okay.
When he was preparing for the opening of the Museum of American Graffiti back in '89.
All right.
So a lot of the tags didn't make it into the frame that he put together, but it still represents the entire city, cross-section of every borough, every pretty much every neighborhood, guys, girls, it ran the gamut. So we got the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, other writers from wherever they were from. But again, the significance of the collection is all this was done in their pretty much dry marks before we found the larger markers and the explosion happened and things got big.
Got it.
So that pretty much time dates it, and that's, I think, part of the reason it's really significant and why I consider it the Holy Grail of graffiti, because there were no black books, but these are some of the people who were not only the pioneers, but the movers and shakers and the inventors of style. So it really has an important place in the history of the movement. And I'm glad that it's right now part of the permanent collection of the Museum of the City of New York, thanks to Martin Wong. When he passed away, donated to them. And it's had a chance to travel the world so people could see it and relate to the early days of the movement when we were still figuring things out.
Wow, wow. Now that board there, I quickly, looked and it's 7 by 9. So you got 63 tag cards on there. How large is your collection overall?
Maybe at least 100 tags, maybe.
Nice.
But some of the cards, like they were cardboard cards, probably about the size of a sheet of paper.
Right, 8.5 by 11.
Yeah, possibly even maybe just a little bit small.
Okay.
But they were small enough for me to carry with me. So when I met the writers, I can get them to, sign it for me because I was a fan. I was starting to meet the other cats who were tearing up the system. People whose name I had seen, some that I hadn't. But when I was meeting the writers, I would be like, "Yo, man, do me a favor, sign that for me."
Got it.
And that was also one of the ways to really tell if it was the real guy or girl, because if the handwriting didn't match what you were familiar with, then oh, this guy, he's not legit. Okay.
Right.
Then the tone of the conversation would change. But fortunately, that didn't happen often because I was meeting the cats. I would go up to the writers bench on 149th Grand Concourse or Writers Corner, 188th Street.
Right.
And wherever I met the cats, I always had the card with me. So I'd be like, "Yo, man, hook me up." And they didn't mind.
Nice.
So it really represents the entire city. And like I said, it's got some of the real movers and shakers in here.
Go over some,
Okay.
Some old 70s, early 70s pioneers or earlier, if you would.
Well, why don't I just read this one page of the folks that made it into the board?
Yes, sir.
Give me an idea. Okay, Superstrut. From Brooklyn. And remember I was telling you that Brooklyn style had a different style than the other boroughs?
Right.
Everybody had their own thing. So Brooklyn was about swirls and arrows and, making faces and caricatures,
right.
Trying to figure out a way to make their name unique.
Right.
So Superstrut is one of these cats that, I don't know if you can really see it, but he's doing swirls.
Got it. And that's the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's bring it up here. Let's see. Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Yep, we got that.
Okay. Ace 137. He had a number behind his name, which meant probably Manhattan.
Got it.
Either that or the Bronx.
Right.
We didn't find out till later specifically where their areas were, but that was one of the differences between Bronx, Manhattan, and Brooklyn. Brooklyn cats were just like trying to put their cool name out with the cool flavor to it. Cats in Manhattan and the Bronx were actually doing like their names with like maybe their street number.
Right.
So you get an idea what neighborhood that they were from. So a lot of times we would look at the street number and we'd try to figure out where we could find them.
Got it.
And since certain neighborhoods were hotter than others, those were more likely to be places where we could find the other writers. So you go up in their neighborhood, you write on the wall, let a couple of cats see you, and they'd be like, "Yo, did I just see you hit?" And he's speaking writer's terms and be like, "Yeah. What's your name?" "So-and-so." "What's your name?" "So-and-so." "Cool, nice to meet you." And then they would show you around.
Nice.
Give you tips, on what they were doing and how and where. And the information exchange like that. And because of that, a network grew out of all of that.
Right.
The fact that we had the locations like Writers Corner, the bench at 149th Street, the bench in Atlantic City, it really helped make the network grow. Because you could find writers, sit down and talk to them, without always being chased by the cops.
Right.
Which was cool.
Yep.
Okay, so let's keep it moving. P. Hayes, Purple Haze, 168. Uptown Cat. Beautiful handwriting. And then the next we have Stony, who is one of the original X-Vandal females.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can see from her style, she's doing the fancy lettering.
Got it. Stony. Yep. Yeah. Let me go ahead and bring that one right up. There we go. It gets a little blurry when I bring it in too close.
I hear you. I wish I had them in a larger
We're getting them.
way so you can see.
They're seeing the tags.
Okay. All right, the next one after Stony is Pooh. Now this is interesting because Pooh has a face design.
P.k.a. He has got a character.
Yeah. Now the story behind that, Pooh was Dino Nod, the original leader of the X-Vanders, his sister.
Oh.
She didn't write, but every once in a while, Dino Nod would write her name.
Got it.
So this is actually a Dino Nod tag of his sister's name.
Nice.
Which most people didn't get to see.
It's a rare one.
Definitely don't have it as a collection.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
It's a known writer, but with a rare tag.
Well, she wasn't really a writer.
Well, I mean, the one that threw her down, her brother.
Yeah, her brother was the original head of the X-Vandals, and It was his concept. But, like, every once in a while, he would write, instead of writing his name, he would write her name.
Nice.
Okay.
I heard people with taggers would also throw their ladies, their girlfriends down.
Yeah, sometimes, you know. And also another thing that they did, when they got popular, or almost too popular, they would switch up and have an alternative name. So people couldn't necessarily know it was them.
Got it.
So, like, Phase 2, which is Lonnie, when he wasn't writing Phase 2, he would write CAD. Now, a lot of people don't really know. Lonnie was the head of the Uptown chapter of the X-Vandals. But what he would do was, when he would write X-Vandals, he would write it as CAD. But it was still Phase 2.
Got it.
And he was the one recruiting members for us Uptown. And once I made him the president of Uptown chapter, the rest of the city was like, yo, Lonnie's part, I want to be in. But the thing was, I made Lonnie the head because I realized, first of all, if you get the man, everybody else is going to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Second, he knows who is deserving and who should be in or not.
Got it.
So I left it up to him to choose the membership, and that was the move that, like, just really set fire to the city, because once the Bronx and Manhattan came in, it was done. It was done. We got Stay High and Super Cool and everybody else. And I just learned earlier this year that when I made Lonnie the president of the Uptown chapter, Stay High got pissed because I didn't make him the head, and he went on an X-Vandals binge just to, like, oh, I'm not the press? I'll show you. And he just went X-Vandals crazy. So, and I just found this out this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, what was he doing?
He was just tagging X-Vandals everywhere he was getting up. And, you know,
he was just bombing.
He was killing it. And then with Stay High, with his style, and the, you know, when he went large with his markers and was doing the multi-tones in his tags, it went to another level behind that. And he just, like I said, he went on a tear because he was pissed. But like I said, I just found that out this year.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. LTD3, Uptown Cat, Cool Coke 1, and he put Bad behind it. I guess that was one of the groups he was in. Pistol 1, another Brooklyn guy. That was the gentleman that he and I started the Atlantic Avenue spot.
Let's look at that tag.
The night we ended up in the tunnels
What was
and
it?
got chased.
Pistol one?
Yep, pistol. Now there's an ongoing, I won't say controversy, but discussion about who did the first 3D piece, whether it was Flint 707 or Pistol One. Both of them did it about the same time, so you can't really know for sure which one did the first one. But I have an opinion on who did it better, which I'm going to keep to myself.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. Snake One.
Yep.
Former member of UGA with me, United Graffiti Artists. And for anybody who doesn't know, UGA was started by Hugo Martinez, and it was the first collective to actually sell graffiti on canvas.
Nice.
So Hugo gets a lot of credit for adding momentum to the movement, because at the time he formed UGA, when it really got its teeth in, it was considered an elite group of 20 of the top graffiti artists in the city, and it was voted on by our peers. So the other graffiti artists were the ones who selected the members. So being in UGA was a big deal, and Snake was in UGA with me, and I think is one of the first people to also sell graffiti on canvas.
Nice, nice.
Classic 120. There were a bunch of cats that lived around the 120s. Leon, Clancy, I can't remember all the other guys. Cool Cliff. There were more. I'm forgetting that at the moment who they were, but please forgive me. But they got up, and they were from around the 120s up in Manhattan. Knit 2 was an uptown guy. I'm not sure whether it was Bronx or Manhattan, but I think it was Manhattan. Then we got Clyde. Clyde is still around doing his thing as well. Lewis 1. I think Lewis used to hang, I believe, with Coco and Tan and those cats. I think we got exposed to them around Writer's Corner.
Okay.
Next is Savage, another Brooklyn guy who, rest in peace. Savage was a white guy who died too young, and I think he died pursuing his tagging stuff. If I remember correctly, I think Savage either got hit by a train or was electrocuted. Something, but I think his death was related to tagging. Yeah, but he got up. He used to tear the trains up, D train, Q train line, and he mostly liked to do outsides. He's like, I'm not wasting my time on the insides, but I want to be seen. Okay, the next one is important because Flynn is an original member of the X Vandals.
Okay.
And it's one of the few X Vandals that I have in the collection.
And where do we have him?
Flynn is right there.
Cool.
And you'll see he's doing flares and arrows.
I see that.
Yeah, Brooklyn style for days.
Nice.
After Flynn is Sweet Pat 169, one of the first generation ladies.
Okay.
Writing from uptown. And as you can see, Pat drew.
Sweet Pat, look at that.
Yeah, she drew a can.
Gotcha. She was an artist.
Yeah, she was. And she got her. Then we have Lazar, who, funny story about that is, I met Lazar on a bus one day. I was going home from school. I got on the bus. The first thing I did was tag right behind the driver. I tagged 5 more times before I sat down in the last row, before I sat down. And this guy was sitting there watching me like, really, dude? Yeah, and then we struck up a conversation. He got off with me at my stop and we talked for another 2 hours. After that, he started becoming, a writer. And he picked up the marker, and the rest is kind of history. But he got motivated because I brought him to the Vandals to see about trying to get him in, and Dino Nard and the rest of the cats laughed at me, kind of like, "Who is this guy? Like, I don't know him. Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I got a good feeling about this cat. He's like, from the conversation we had and what I saw him do after he got started, I was like, yeah, you're gonna need to keep an eye on this cat, right?" And basically, the rejection from Dino Nard pissed him off and motivated him, and he went on a tear. Lazar is now legendary, basically because of his style also. And yeah. And another interesting thing, that's his tag right there.
Lazar.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time together, so he had time to actually color his in.
Love the character. Yeah. I see.
Yeah.
Nice character.
Yeah. And we got to be such really good friends that one year when I was getting ready to go overseas on tour with Roberta Flack, I sent him on a blind date with my former roommate. And they are now married with a family of their own. And every anniversary I get a thank you, fuck you message.
Got you. Hey, got same contact.
Yeah. But it's all love,
Yeah.
So that's Lazar. Piper 1. Chase 2. Piper was from the Broadway area. And remember I was telling you, Top Cat 126 came from Philly and brought Philly style with him to the neighborhood he moved into, which was the Upper Broadway area.
Got it.
When the cats in that area saw Top Cat style, they started trying to imitate and emulate his lettering, and they incorporated that into their own little thing, which later became named Broadway Elegant. So when you look at Piper, Piper's style is in Broadway Elegant.
Got it.
Which was elongated letters.
In the style referred to as Broadway elegance. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Moving on. Then we got Miko as Latin Pride. So Miko was my neighbor. He lived probably about 2 blocks from me. He was one of the first guys to form his own group. We asked him about being in the Vandals. He was like, "Nah, man, I got an idea. I'm gonna start my own thing." So he started a group with Manny and Peusa called Ceballos. So that was one of the first Latino writing groups.
Okay.
And it was Miko, Manny, and Peusa.
Got it.
Miko later became a member of UGA as well. And another legendary guy who, rest in peace, is gone too soon. Moving on. Deadleg 167, Uptown. Then we have Killer One, another Brooklyn guy. And Killer used to like to bomb the outside of trains. On this particular one, he added the group Dead underneath it.
Okay.
Now, some background history behind Dead. When the X-Vandals sort of hit their peak, we started to switch things up a little bit. So a couple of the guys from the Vandals, King of Cools, Wicked Wesley, and Flynn, they decided to form a group called the Sultans. and little hang group,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that was okay for a bit for them. I stayed with the Vandals, but Lazar and I started tossing other group names around that we thought might work.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to think of some powerful names that maybe would catch on. Dead was one of them. Dead was basically dedicated, experienced, and altogether devastating. All right, it made its way out there, got some traction. So the fact that Killer wrote Dead,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
means a little something.
Let's see it real quick.
Okay.
Especially since we're talking about that short-lived crew. Did it last a long time?
No,
Killer,
not
right?
really. Yeah. It didn't really last a long time. But it had enough play to get out there and, make its mark.
Got it. I see Dead directly under it.
Yep. Okay. So now one of the other names that we tossed around that actually really is still kicking today is War. Writers already respected.
Okay.
And that still is going today. So sometimes you'll see War. Cats are still rocking it because they love the name. Panic One, Uptown. Rip One was also Lionel.
Okay.
And right behind him, Rip did a War.
Where are we?
Right behind Killer.
Right behind Killer. Cool. Deadleg?
Rip.
Rip. Ah, my bad. Here we go. Took me a little while to find it. There's Rip. War. Nice.
Okay. Then Little Cross. Little Cross was from Uptown. I think he was in Manhattan. But he wrote a little special note on this one to my man WG.
Nice.
That I liked. Because most people just was
no dedication.
Yeah. Next we have Phase 2. Phase has a bunch of these. He has a couple of cards. We spent a lot of time together. He was also in United Graffiti Artists, UGA. So we were spending a lot of time together, so he had a chance to do a couple of different cards.
Later, if you happen to have a CAD, tag, that'd be great.
Here's the Phase 2.
Gotcha. Yep.
Now,
that is him. Not that I'm an expert.
Okay,
that's Phase.
That's Phase. But the significance with Phase is I consider, the godfather of style. He was the one that came up with most of the innovations that changed style. And because he was very open and sharing, he taught a lot of cats. And a lot of cats looked at all his stuff to help formulate their ideas. So bubble letters, top to bottoms, abstract sort of stuff. Lonnie is the cat that really set the pace. And I do like this when it comes to Phase 2. So, rest in peace, Lonnie. Miss you, bro. Then we got Flip Ones, Uptown. Nard. Nard was from the Bronx. Met him one day. He and a couple of other cats were in Brooklyn. And they were just riding the trains and just getting off anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They happened to get off at the stop where the X-Randall's headquarters were. We had a hangout at Empire Boulevard and Flatbush Avenue, which was called Burgermaster. It was across the street from Weston's, across the street from Prospect Park. It was also Prospect Park Station on the train line, and it was a bus hub because It was the last stop for a couple of buses that went to the different neighborhoods where the cats lived. And so there were no less than at least 4 or 5 buses that would intersect there along with the train. And it was a transfer point from all the kids getting out of the different schools. And it had Wetson's on one side of the street, Burgermaster on the other. So it was also a place that we could hang. So we would all pretty much meet after school because that was our transportation transfer place. And we had places where we could sit and eat and chill, and just hang out. So I'm standing outside because I just hit a bus, right? I see some cats coming up, and I look at them and I see their body language looking like riders because they're looking around, and I'm like, let me watch this guy for a minute. And then when nobody's looking, I see him tag the wall. So I walk up and I go, that's you? And he looked at me like, trying to see whether I was a cop or not. I was like, yeah. I said, cool. I'm Wicked Gary ex-Vandals. We hit it off that day. And I introduced him to all the guys, took them around the neighborhood, showed them how to sneak on the trains and, the spots where we were. And when he signed his card, he was like, yeah, man, we were just hanging out. We had no clue where we were going or how we were going to do. And when he signed the card, he was like, Nard, we don't know where to go. So that's Nard in the green right there.
Nice. Let's look at that. Coming right up on the center there, Nard. Nice.
Okay. Right behind him is Lava, who, rest in peace, was not only ex-Vandals, but Lava was also one of the commanders of one of the divisions of the Black Spades. So he was actually a gang member who also wrote. But when he was writing, everything was cool. You didn't want to see him when he had his colors on and he wasn't about. Well, let me rephrase that. You didn't want to have to see him when he had his colors on and he was coming to handle business.
Right.
That's not the Lava you wanted to meet. The graffiti writer, loved the guy. The gang member, stay out of his way.
Got it.
Yeah, no joke. The Black Spades at that time had 40 divisions in New York City. They were no joke.
Got it.
And
what time era are we talking about?
71, 72.
Gotcha.
It's well, we had an experience with the Black Spades, which is well documented in Getting Up by Craig Castleman. We had a friendly competition with the Vanguards, who are our friends. Some of us went to school together, lived in the same neighborhoods. Because once Vandals started to get popular, they were a group of guys who lived in projects around St. John's Center, Recreation Center in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Crown Heights. But they were a bit popular as well. And Vanguards were one of the groups that we were looking at when we started thinking about the name of our group. Mm-hmm. And that's where the van came in, because we liked the power that the van had. Mm-hmm. But we couldn't do Vanguards, that was already taken. And again, the evolution was like, if we're doing with Vandals, we are Vandals. And I was like, okay, we like that. But it's got to be a little something else to it. And after talking about it, I said, well, we're experienced, we know what we're doing. And the cats were like, yeah, that's too long to write. We're going to get busted every time. So we were like, okay, well, let's shorten the experience to X, and we'll be the X-Vandals. And people will think maybe we're former Vandals.
Right.
But we're not.
Got it.
Yeah, so we were telling everybody, we know what we're doing from the start. and you guys have no idea what's about to happen. And then we went on the crusade and blitzed the city.
Nice.
Then there's yours truly, myself, Ricky Gary, with the box around it.
Gotcha.
And the reason the box came into play again is once the wall started to get inundated, I was trying to figure out a way that, when I was passing by on a bus or walking by, if my name was on the wall, I could spot it through all the madness that was there.
Right.
And I figured the easiest way to do that was just put the box around it, and this way, if I just saw the box, I would know my name was there, because nobody else was doing that. So
Smart.
yeah. Tan 144. Woo! One of the cats that I ran into hanging with Coco, these cats uptown. I loved the fact that they were doing swirls, even though it wasn't Brooklyn style. They had their own version of how they interpreted.
Where were they from?
Uptown. Yeah. But that was Manhattan, around like Writer's Corner. The next name, WAP, W-A-P. This is interesting. He was one of the members of the Chairman's J, which was, a lot of the guys that went to school with us. He was also from our neighborhood.
Okay.
But this is one of the first examples that I knew of somebody doing their name in a way that later became named bubble style. And I think Lonnie Phase 2 made bubble style popular, but Wayne, WAP actually stands for Wayne Anthony Pierce. Those were his initials. So that's why he used WAP. But again, his name was the first example I saw of what later became bubble style, because he was putting it together like they were bubbles.
Got it. Nice.
So, I don't know if he's actually the first person to actually do bubble style, because I said, like, it was before it had a name, but he's the first person that I saw that did that, and I could definitely say he was the first person to do bubble style in Brooklyn. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. Right after that, we got Ross One, who was a Broadway guy who also wrote Dot 161. So he wrote both of his names on that one.
Got it. Ross and Dot.
Yep.
There you go. Dot 161. Ross. Ross 1.
Yep. After that, we got Step 1, Uptown. Bad Bob 60. Used to hang out with Cliff and all those guys. They got up a lot. Then we have somebody that you might know, Staff 161.
Yes. Stop.
Yep.
Ebony Dukes. The Ebony Dukes.
Yes, and he definitely hit an Ebony Dukes on here, saying no comp. That's Staff right there.
Gotcha.
Boop.
Cool. They kind of like almost look like Sweet Pats.
Well, they hung out.
Got it.
And if you see by the numbers, they were in the same neighborhood.
Yep. And yeah.
Okay.
Not too far.
Yeah. Then Coco 144.
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
That's nice that you got Coco to sign a card for you.
Well, I mean, like I said, as I was meeting cats, I would just get them to sign it, and I was a fan. I would see a lot of their names anyway. But then to get to meet them, I was, well, I don't want to say I was fanboying, but I guess I was to a certain degree where I was getting their autographs, when nobody else was at the time. But Coco was also one of the members of UGA,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Coco might have been the actual first president of UGA.
All right.
So that's significant there.
Definitely with the crown.
Yep. Coco 144.
Right there. A legendary.
Yep. All right. After Coco, we got Riff 170.
Who's that?
Another style master. He would hang out with Phase 2 a lot. So as Phase 2 was developing style, Riff was right there to also take a lot of the elements that they were messing with and blow them up.
Yep.
And he also shared a lot of that information with some of the cats that he knew. So the network again, the styles, the characters, and Riff did a character. Well, he always usually does some sort of character, whether it's the worm or stick figures or something.
Right.
And on this one, I think he did a stick figure.
Got it. And here we go. Riff
170.
There you go, Riff 170, also known to be the creator of some of the earliest flyers from the Hivalo.
Okay.
You know? So very, very significant to hip hop's history.
Yeah. Well, we have a bunch of cats that were doing the hip hop flyers. Admiral was doing Obama Admiral.
Okay.
Was doing flyers. Most of the guys, man, let me just say, a lot of the cats did flyers when the hip hop and the parties were happening because we had decent handwritings.
Mm-hmm.
We were also popular, so if we were doing the flyers, that usually meant that we were also telling the graffiti community, which was also bleeding over into the music community. So we'd have both worlds coming to the events because we did the flyers, we shared the information, and both of those worlds would show up to the events.
Nice.
Admiral Obama used to do a lot of my flyers because I was DJing as well. So like he even did my my business card design. Like he also did that wicket for me.
Got it. Yep. Beautiful. The devil.
Yeah.
Wicked right on top.
Yeah.
Nice.
What's that? Okay. Get back to the collection here.
So what's your opinion while you're looking through it? What's your opinion on, I know we spoke a little bit about the G word, right? Because Riff
Graffiti
calls it the G word.
Okay, had you said graffiti to Miko, he would have stopped you in your tracks and would have said, quote, graffiti is the equivalent of the N-word to black people for writers. It was not something that we called ourselves. It was something that the press made up to describe us. And it had a negative connotation.
Mm-hmm.
So Miko never adopted it. Miko was always a writer who got labeled as a graffiti artist because they put that label on all of us. But he hated it, and he would cuss you out.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a few of us from the old school who don't necessarily appreciate it, but have to deal with it because it has become the culture.
Right. Yeah. Riff gave me a sticker, not the G word.
Woo! Well, speaking of stickers, here's one for you.
Nice, thank you.
First batch.
Awesome. Straight into the Bronx Aerosol Arts Documentary Project collection.
Yes. Brand new, hot off the presses.
Nice. That's sweet. So, all right, stickers. You know, I mean, you're way back from the beginning. Stickers didn't come out. I mean, what's the history behind the evolution or the beginning of the stickers?
Folks started figuring out in terms of getting up was the whole theory about getting up was to get your name in as many places as you could at a time. One reason is the trains got inundated because those were traveling canvases. They moved through all the boroughs. Everybody would see them.
Mm-hmm.
So when the trains got hot, it was because, yeah, people in the Bronx are going to see my name even though I'm in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these trains are going to get switched up and separated and on different lines, different neighborhoods, all that stuff. If I'm on every car, when they switch the cars out and switch the trains up, I'm going to be on a couple of different trains now going throughout the city.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody got their hands on some stickers and said, I can stick these up as I'm moving around, insides, outsides, all over town. These work. And they started attacking with it. And it has become a multi-billion-dollar industry behind the intensity that we slammed it with.
Mm-hmm.
So,
are there stores that focus just on stickers for writers, or is there a general sticker or printing shop you guys go to, or can you get them at like Office Depot?
Well, cats get them done many different places. It depends on who they are and what they're using as their chosen method and what they have available. Sometimes, they'll, my name is so-and-so, you go buy a pack of those things.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go buy a pack of those things and just put their name on it and have that whole reel to wherever they go.
Right? Yeah. As opposed to the custom-made ones.
Yeah.
Now, the popularity of the U.S. Postal Service stickers.
That, because we could get our hands on them, were free, easy, and small enough to conceal and carry a lot of them. So cats would grab the roll, go home, do whatever their artwork was going to be, tag their name, artwork, whatever, designs, whatever, and then run with it in the streets till they get them all out and go get another one and start all over again. So they've been finding different sources from different outlets to be able to use. And then, you have cats who have designed their own and went and had them printed up or went and had them done.
Mm-hmm.
And are putting them out there and sharing them with the clan. Now, one of the things that stickers have evolved into, there's a trading platform for stickers.
Got it.
So people who are into stickers and writers will use them to trade. So I could meet you if you're a writer that I know and are like, yo man, I'll trade you one of my stickers for one of yours. So you get the collection to be amplified.
Right.
Because you have something to trade with. So stickers have become a big deal these days, thanks to the fact that folks can trade them. They're small enough to carry, usually light enough to be able to carry a lot of them, mm-hmm. and they're relatively inexpensive in terms of cost.
And no more ink on your fingers.
A lot less ink.
A lot less ink.
A lot less ink, yeah. So, and they're quick. Sometimes you could, if you got a sticker with the easy peel, you can walk by stuff and go, and nobody knows you just put that sticker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll show you a little something after we turn the camera off.
All right. Gotcha.
But yeah, stickers. I was in Sacramento. They showed us the sticker movie and how popular stickers have gotten, and I think it's become a $3 billion industry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Big deal. Yeah.
I'm wondering if the markers went down in sales.
Yeah. Partly because these days the markers are behind gates and in cages. And once they got hip to how we were acquiring them and what was important to us as tools, they locked all that stuff up to make it unavailable to us, thinking that it would stop us.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a whole evolution where in order for them to combat what we were doing, they got connected with the industries for all the cleaning solutions, all the formulas for the inks and the markers, and changed all of that stuff, along with, in conjunction with the MTA and all the transit authorities, changing the formulas for the trains themselves. They changed the surfaces.
That's right.
So they went and developed surfaces for the train that were graffiti cleaning friendly, because initially, remember, they were buffing trains.
Right.
But in the buffing trains, they were actually erasing the trains because the buff would scratch off the
clear coat.
The clear coat and the metal, because we kept bombing the train so much, they were taking away the metal. So the metal started out like that, and then, you know, when it got to like that, they were like, oh, we can't keep doing that. Yeah. We won't have no train. So they got together with the makers of the paints, the supplies, and like I said, the trains, and switched up all the formulas, switched up all the materials, so that they could combat what we were doing at the time. And that was a multi-billion-dollar effort on their part to just try to contain us.
If they would have just used that money and commissioned WG, do 2 cars for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a great idea, but I would have told them to go get Lonnie.
There you go.
I would have told them to go get Phase 2. He could do it top to bottom. Yeah, no problem, and it would be lovely. Mine would be messy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So where were we? I think we were at Riff. Okay. Shark 77. Shark used to hang out with Spin and Bull, and these cats, I think, hit the A lines, but those cats were Brooklyn, and I think you can see some of the flair from the way he was writing his name here.
Got it.
With the swirls and...
Got it. You know, I mean, that reminds me of the 2 gentlemen from the Bronx Boys writing crew. Before the Bronx Boys rocking crew, that Batch, you know, has told the story over and over again, who's founded the Bronx Boys rocking crew, that he got permission from Cash and Shark, who were the leaders of the Bronx Boys, which was just a writing crew at the time.
Okay.
You know, I would love to get some of those original tags. You know.
Well, I don't know them personally to be able to connect you, but quite sure somebody probably knows maybe how to reach them, or
the message is out there.
Around. Yeah, and speaking of the messages that's still out there, one of the things that's overlooked was the subway was one of our forms of communication, because you can get the word from Brooklyn to the Bronx in the time that it took the train to get there.
Okay.
So, like, if somebody was on the train, if something happened in Brooklyn, like the day Lionel punched Officer Schwartz in the face, we heard about that as soon as the first train made it from where that happened. So it was like, yo, Lionel punched Schwartz in the face. And it was like fire. But that was not only our networking tool, but it was really the way the word got around a lot. You know, all it would take was the time for the train to get there, and most of the time we knew what was going on.
Got it.
Yeah. Let's see. So after Shark is another phase, different style. Another phase 2.
All right.
Phase was also a member of UGA as well.
Right.
And then we got Spin. Used to tear the A lines up. Brooklyn Cat. Swirls.
Gotcha.
to terrorize the outsides. After that, Lee 163D, which was Phase 2's cousin, and Lee was one of the few people that ended up working for transit as a conductor.
Oh, look at that.
So he turned his playground into his workspace. Rest in peace, Lee. He is one of the four. Lee was also a member of UGA. I think I showed you a picture of my backyard wall, which we did the weekend before I went away to college for Lincoln University. But we painted my backyard wall, and it was Lee, Bama, FaZe, and myself. And this is it down here on the bottom.
Got it.
So you see Bama did a character, he did a worm. FaZe did a CAD. I did my WG, and Lee did a loaded Lee.
Nice. That's the Phase 2 CAD.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
At the time we did this was the 4 black active members of UGA at the time.
Okay.
T-Rex, Darius was also in UGA, but he was upstate, locked away at the time, so he wasn't available to be here with us and hang. But we had a party the weekend before I left. I invited the cast to come down. We were, the night after the party, we was like, yo, man, that's a nice wall back there. So we made it nicer.
There you go.
And I used to wake up and find people from all over the world in my backyard to take pictures of this wall.
Jumping into your backyard.
Because they knew the significance of the 4 guys in the picture.
Nice.
We were all UGA, all pioneers, and all some of the heavy cats. So yeah, I'm like, excuse me, what are you doing? Oh, I heard about the wall. I came to take a picture. Okay, I hear your accent. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Sweden. I'm from Germany. I'm from France. Really? How are you finding out about? And then how do you get my address? So there's a lot of that going on. Okay.
I'm surprised they jumping fences into people's yards is not a thing.
Well, I mean, they were just trying to get a better shot of it because on the other side of the fence, it'd be at an angle, and it wasn't necessarily the best shot to get.
Mm-hmm.
But they were risking it because I had a guard dog who didn't play, and had I opened up the door and let him out, they would have regretted coming and take that picture.
Yes.
So, Duke, the Wonder Dog, king of the neighborhood. Rest in peace, Duke. All right. After Lee, we got Sky 3, who's uptown. Then we have Top Cat 126. Top Cat is the guy that brought Philly style to New York.
Got it.
And that's him there.
Yep.
Now you see the elongated letters.
Got it.
Long, strenuous. When he came and brought Philly style to New York.
Didn't really get a good shot of that one on this one because of the glare, but.
Okay. But basically, when he moved into his neighborhood uptown, all the guys in that area tried to start emulating that, and that's what later became Broadway Elegant, was their variation of Philly style.
Got it.
So Top Cat's important to the culture because he brought a whole nother thing that started another thing for style. Let me go through these a little bit faster now. Treese 158, MGC. I forgot what that crew stands for. My apologies. Last Survivors, BG, Brooklyn Cats, Flair, Brooklyn Style, Slim One of the original junior X-Vandals once we started a junior division. Later became a member of UGA. Asian American.
Nice.
Uh,
Many Asians in the writing world?
there were a few.
Okay.
You know, Slim was one of the better ones. He, like I said, he made it in the UGA, which means he was considered one of the top 20 at the time.
Wow.
So, yeah. And his style was, whew.
Slim. Wow, it's a long tag.
He was fast with it and sweet with it. You would look up and then, yo, when did that get there? He was one of those cats. Like,
Got it.
and you wouldn't expect him because he was a little short cat, quiet cat, but he would terrorize when it came to hit and kill him. HRJ2, Herbert Robert Jones II. His dad was a trumpet player that played with Duke Ellington and Count Basie.
Okay.
And he was also one of my music instructors at a certain point in time. I used to play with his big band. When I sent my audition tape to college, I played with his band. I was playing the electric bass for my audition tape, and I did Killer Joe and Ape is High by Mandrill. And that's how I made it into Lincoln University as a music major.
Got it.
Okay. Then we got Crane 150. And he's got his style uptown, Brooklyn. Ross 3, uptown. Flint, for those who dare. Flint and Scooter were at the original first meeting for the X-Vandals, but Flint declined to join and become a founding member. He stayed an individual for a long time until we really kicked butt and showed him what we were doing. Then he joined the X-Vandals now. That's Flint, for those who dare. Knee High, 161, and he actually put from Broadway, but he's doing Broadway elegant style, and if you can notice, he also put X-Vandals.
There we go. Yep, right there, X-Vandals.
Okay. SJK 171. Steven was member of UGA.
Mm-hmm.
One of the earlier writers from Uptown, Washington Heights. Still goes around, still does his art. Him and Mike, 71, go around and do a lot of historical.
Who's Mike?
Mike 171.
Okay.
They still do a lot of discussions about graffiti history and active today still.
Got it.
Then we have Great One 897. She wrote Too Bad. She was from the Bronx, one of the first generation female writers. She was also one of the first generation female X-Vandals.
Great One?
Yep. Great One 897.
$8.97.
Mm-hmm. Then we have A-Train, another Brooklyn cat. Super Slick 156, Star 3. A-Train's Brooklyn, Super Slick was Uptown, Star 3 was Manhattan, Cool Cliff 120, Manhattan. Then we have Phase, again, where he's just practicing a couple of different versions of his name.
Got it. Kind of like a scratch paper.
Yeah, so he's using it, to test out different styles and ideas that he had. And like I said, we spent a lot of time together with UGA and moving around. So he had time to do that. Mm-hmm. And he had access to the cards. Gay. Now that was controversial back then because we didn't know what it meant or what it was. So he was from Brooklyn. We spent a lot of time trying to find him to be able to answer our questions.
Right.
Is that a statement? Is that who you are? Is that what you are? Finally caught up with him. He was like, yo, man, that's my name. Those are my initials. Geddes Appleby Young. And we were like, okay, cool. Thank you for clearing that up. Because we didn't know. And we didn't know what to make of it. But it was a simple tag. But had everybody confused for a long time.
Yeah, he got up.
He got up. Yeah. Flair 172, Uptown. Whirlwind Express from the Bronx. Flint 707, also a UGA member, and from Brooklyn. Remember I was telling you the discussion about who did the first 3D piece between Flint 707 and Pistol 1? That's the other gentleman who, when people argue about who did the first 3D piece, those are the two names that they will bring up, Flint 707 and Pistol 1.
Got it.
Also UGA. Lazar again, and he put initials underneath it, FTWD for those who dare. Chris 170 from Uptown, Manhattan. Cevalles, this one is free PR. So Miko was political also with his stuff, and that's his group. And Miko used to also like to write political messages like hang Nixon.
And let's see that one here.
Rico.
Salvajes.
Yes.
Got it.
And I believe that was the first Hispanic writing crew.
Got it. Free PR, Salvajes. Free Puerto Rico, Savages.
Okay.
Look at that political statement.
Yeah, it was. Hi, Harry. Harry used to use his H for both parts of his name, and he also used to like to be cool. So when you see his design, he would have it smoking.
Got it. Cool. Let's see if we can.
So cats were trying to figure out different ways to make their name stand out, to make it unique.
Hey, there's a joint there. Looks like a joint to me.
Well, it probably was.
It's got that pointy tip on the back.
Well, before they started rolling them like that, it was just most of us smoked because we were teenagers and we were getting high and trying to have a good time all the time. So then the Star 1 from Manhattan, Ski 168, Cliff 159. There are more.
Got it. We need another hour to go through all of them.
A bunch of them that didn't make it in.
Nice. Much respect.
Yeah. So, including some Scooter. Scooter was at the original first meeting of the X Randalls,
Right.
but he was independent, and he was just too cool to join the group. And part of also what made him and Flint and Daddy Cool, who was also there, not join was because when we first started, we gave up our individual names and became the crew. They were like, I'm not giving up my name. So thanks, but yeah, good luck, have fun. But Scooter was also one of the first cats at the original meeting. And Scooter was a white guy.
Got it. 2 eyes and an eyebrow.
Yep.
Looking toward one direction.
So, and that's one way he would also be able to recognize his name when he saw it because he looked with the 2 eyes.
Got it.
Okay. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and then here's a rare one. Hugo 1,
Got it.
the guy who forms UGA. That is a rare tag of his.
Nice.
And some of these, all of these are part of the permanent collection in the Museum of the City of New York now. Thanks to Martin Long. And, some of the cars you can see I used, and some of the other guys used it, had them as practice. Like, here's one that I have, like, 5 different designs on.
Right.
The one with the flames was an idea that I had.
WG tag cards.
I basically, when I did the one with the flames, I wanted to actually put that on the front of a train, and I never got to do it. That's the blow up of it.
Nice. There's still time, brother.
That time is gone. But I wanted to put it on the front of the train so that the WG, as it came out the tunnel, would be this way, and the flames would be on both sides, coming out like that. So you come
Nice.
I never got to do it, man. I was like, my one regret is that I never got to do that one.
Like hot rod flames along the front of
Yeah, I was gonna make it like really come in with my name right on the front. I was gonna also highlight the colors with colors that would pop in the light. So as it came into the light, it would have been sparkling, you know, or the 3D, and then the flames are coming behind it. Yeah, that would have set everybody off.
Nice.
Like, yo, man, that shit was wicked. Yeah, man, it was.
Sweet.
So that's the tag collection, pretty much, which again is part of the permanent collection in the Museum of the City of New York.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It has traveled the world. It started out here in the Museum of the City of New York. Went to the Amsterdam Museum from there. After Amsterdam, it went to Bologna, Italy, Indianapolis, what was the other place? Just left. Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I'm forgetting someplace. But I've had the fortune to be able to see it in every city it's been while it's been hanging.
Wow.
Yeah, I was lucky because when it was in Amsterdam, I was over in Paris playing with one of the bands that I worked with. And on my day off, I took a high-speed train and went and, you know, checked it out. And the cast and the crew found out I was coming. And the division of the X-Vandals in Amsterdam met me at the station when I landed. So it was like a dozen cats were sitting there like, yeah, the president's here, cool. Let's see if I can show you that picture.
Sweet.
Yeah. And now X-Vandals are worldwide. We have divisions all over the place. I can't even tell you how many members we have, but we just welcomed a new one this week.
Awesome. Awesome. And your career spans 7 decades. You are in your 7th decade of writing. You know, you began writing in 71, and now here we are, 2025. Amazing.
Okay.
Amazing history.
Wow. I hadn't thought about it like that. I really hadn't. Woo.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Wow.
But considering that they thought that this was, or that they hoped that this was just going to be a fad and that we'll grow out of it, I'm proud that it's become a culture. It deserves to be studied, known about, and kept going.
Awesome. Awesome. And what's the future for you? I mean, wow, you've been writing for so long. How do you see the future of writing? Where are you guys going that you haven't been? Galleries internationally, shows, exhibits.
Well, the world is open to us now. Once Madison Avenue started taking our techniques and using it to promote their stuff and, you know, doing whole cars and whole buses and all that stuff, that's graffiti. You know, they just decided, yo, these guys are onto something. Let's take it and make it work for us, and we can get paid. And that's what they're doing. But now you find what we do in the galleries, in the museums, every part of life is included. It's not going to go away. It's just going to keep evolving, especially with the level of talent that the street artists are bringing to the mix as well. So graffiti now is also incorporated street art and vice versa.
Right.
Which is making it go to another level altogether. You go to these places and the cities and buildings and the government are commissioning cats to do 100-foot walls. Paid. You know, you don't have to be trying to sneak up at night, you know, and put it up. They'll be like, excuse me, we have a check for you with some commas. Are you available? You know, so there's a big difference in the swing from what it used to be to what it is.
Got it.
Yeah. But that's the cast. I wouldn't go too close because some of them might still be active.
Oh,
But-
got it. No, I'm going to keep it back.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay,
But
but
no, much
you
respect.
see a dozen cats and
Yeah.
everybody's doing X-Randall's salute.
Sweet.
Now,
Which is also the
Wakanda,
Bronx.
Wakanda forever.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but
You know?
long before it was Wakanda, it was greeting for the X-Randalls. We do X.
Gotcha.
So
Here we go. So we like to end all of our interviews with one last question, but we're gonna change it up, right?
Okay.
Because you're from Brooklyn. What does Brooklyn mean to you?
well, I was born on 110th Street, across the street from Central Park, and I spent the first 5 years of my life there, and then moved to Brooklyn and been in Brooklyn ever since. I am a Brooklynite by heart, will forever be a Brooklynite, and will always raise Brooklyn up any chance I get, because it's been a fantastic place to be. It still is, even though it's changing. But it was a wonderful place to grow up. It still is a beautiful place to live. There's still magic in Brooklyn. There's so much talent. And the real folks, I think, are from Brooklyn. Because everybody goes to Manhattan to work, they leave, they go home, they go to Brooklyn.
Got it.
You know, and Brooklyn's always been on the come up, and I think it's the sleeper borough. Even though if it was a city, probably be the fourth largest city in
And
the
it
States.
was.
In the States.
Absolutely. Amazing. That is Wicked Gary, X-Vandals, for the Bronx Aerosol Arts documentary project. Peace.
Hold up. One last thing.
Of course, let's get the back of that shirt. Nice, hold on. Nice. X-Vandals, 1971, Wicked Gary, Brooklyn, New York. Nice.
Done by Roger Gathman, who right now is the #1 collector of graffiti in pretty much the world and beyond the streets.
Nice. Peace.
Hey, here we go.